Good morning, Murli.
Morning.
Here's the question for today. How can we effectively monitor each touch point in the customer journey to identify areas for improvement?
All right. So let me start from a different perspective. Look, there are three perspectives to anything in an organizational context. There is a business view, there is a process view, and there is a customer view. And reality is that all three of them don't always align on the same thing, and that's where the big challenge comes from. And therefore this entire process of monitoring touch point, you'll have to take into consideration these three perspectives, because you need, if to identify what needs to be focused on is always going to be an ongoing debate, and therefore these different perspectives can throw different answers on what to look at. So you need to have some basis, some framework to do this. So first one is to look at let's just say frequency and impact, right? How frequently is something happening, and what is the intensity with which it is hurting the customer or putting hurdles in the customer's experience. Let's take an example. Let's take an e-commerce example, right? For example, is the problem that the delivery of the product that the customers ordered? We will take an e-commerce site example, right? If the delivery itself is not happening on a regular, consistent, predictable basis, that's a big problem, right? As opposed to the tracking of the delivery being inconsistent occasionally. These are two very different problems. Both have to do with delivery. But if the delivery itself is not happening on a regular, consistent basis, that's a P1 priority 1 issue. On the other hand, if tracking is off once in a while, I'm not saying it is not a problem. It is a problem, but to a significantly lower intensity. So this is one way. And of course, you look at how frequently is it happening. Is it happening every day? Is it happening to every other customer? Or is it happening once in a while? So this is one lens to look at. That's number one. Number two is to peel the layers and get to, let's just say, what the core issues is. Quite often, a lot of what we do in organizations are black boxes. I'll give you one very simple example of a black box, and this is a conversation as fresh as this morning when I was having a chat with one of the teams. And we were talking about the IVR, that dreaded IVR, interactive voice response that a customer goes through when you call customer care. My question is, have you ever put yourself in the customer's shoe and gone through the various options and how complicated? It's a maze. IVR is a maze, right? And for the customer to get the information that they want or to talk to a human agent, it is so difficult. And the question is, have we put ourselves in the customer's shoe and gone through those options ourselves? We typically don't. It's a black box. So it's important for us to peel the layers in the black box. Only then can you get actionable stuff that will make a difference to the customer's experience. And not too many people that I have seen or companies I have seen go through this process of opening this black box and peeling the layers and getting into it. So this is point number two. Point number three is of course, as always, I keep saying, listening to the customer's feedback and then connecting the dots with other data points. And I'll give you one example. In the last few years, especially since COVID, and actually even maybe a little bit prior to that, we saw that the nature of a phone usage started evolving, right? With better 4G networks, with 5G networks, people started watching a lot of video on their phones. Be it OTT, be it YouTube, be it Shorts and Instagrams and so on and so forth. We saw this trend, and one way we thought we could deliver a better experience is, say, to have, let's say, AMOLED displays on phones. And AMOLED displays are definitely more vibrant, they have better color saturation, they have better contrast, and in general make for a much more pleasant viewing experience and are much more brighter too, right? So we saw a specific trend, we figured out technology, and we were able to provide a much better viewing experience to consumers in the mid-range. And that's also worked out really, really well for us. So here are some examples of how we looked at various touch points in the entire experience, took out what's meaningful, figured out interesting ways of getting to the root of the problem, and ideating on solutions which ultimately make a difference to that customer's life. No cookie cutter answers. Everybody's situation is going to be different, but to be focused on the need and to be persistent about getting to the bottom of it and pushing yourself to do better is what makes for delivering a better customer experience consistently.
Thank you, Murli, for sharing such great insights.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
If you have any more questions, please share them in the comment section below.